Hey everybody, welcome back to Clipboard Cars. Today we have the 2024 Chevy Colorado ZR2. Now in this video, we're going to cover 5 exterior features as well as 5 interior features. We'll show you a full walk around of the vehicle and then we'll take it for a drive and give you our impressions. The first exterior feature we're going to cover is the aggressive stance of the Colorado ZR2. And that's because it sits 3 inches taller than the standard Colorado. And it also has Multimatic DSSV shocks, which are insanely good off-road. The second exterior feature we're going to talk about are the wheels and tires. They have 17-inch beadlock-capable wheels. And then from the factory, you can get a 33-inch tire. The third exterior feature we're going to cover are the rock sliders. And yes, the Colorado ZR2 has rock sliders. Not just any rock sliders though, these are very aggressively designed. You've got an impact point here at the bottom, and then you have a side impact point here. That's going to protect you from the rocks out on the trails. The fourth exterior feature we're going to cover is the flow tie. That's right, Chevy calls this badge the flow tie, and that's because it is hollow, where you can actually have air pass through the emblem. It's pretty cool, as well as the upgraded LED headlights. The fifth and final feature for the exterior is this front bumper that comes standard on the ZR2s. It's notched out, so you have a better approach angle when you're off-road. All right, moving on to the interior, the first feature we're going to talk about is the obvious one. We have an 11.3-inch infotainment system, as well as an additional 11-inch gauge cluster screen. Altogether, this is just a great display package where you have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, works very fast and seamlessly. Next thing we're going to touch on are the seats. They are very comfortable. You can get leather seats or you can get these cloth seats. The cloth seats are heated, but they're not cooled. The upgraded leather seats are cooled. Now, an optional feature on the ZR2 is Chevy's all-new surround vision, and that's up to 10 camera angles that you can select from. And then one of those camera angles is actually positioned underneath the truck so you can see the obstacles that you're driving over. The fourth interior feature we're going to talk about are the rear seats. Now, it's a fold flat option, but it also has the ability to have the seats fold up, and you can access storage underneath, as well as having map pockets in the doors. The fifth and final feature we'll talk about that's interesting to the ZR2 Colorado are the off-road modes that it has. So down here we've got this toggle that we just turn it, and then you can go from Baja mode, terrain, normal, tow haul mode, off-road, and again back to normal. So these modes help the vehicle adjust its settings, whether it's throttle, shock sensitivity, all that kind of stuff, to handle whatever environment that you're driving in as quickly as possible just by the turn of a knob. All right, so I have the front seat set to where I would sit if I were driving, and now I'm just going to see how much leg room we have in the back seat. Again, I'm about 6'3". We'll just kind of see how this goes. Not the most spacious. My knees are directly into the back seat. There isn't a whole lot of headroom. There's about 1.5 inches of space up there. Wouldn't advise it for long drives, but you can definitely fit your buddies back here if you're just trying to get somewhere quick. All right, so we are driving the Colorado ZR2. Now, when it comes to engines, this Colorado has a 2.7 liter inline 4, and it has 310 horsepower and 430 foot-pounds of torque. That is a pretty healthy figure for a truck of this size. But when it comes to power, that's not as important. I'm happy it has a good torque rating because you want that torque for off-road use. And when it comes to off-road use, this has a 2-speed transfer case, and it's pretty good. It's a good low-range setup. You've got 410 gears. You also have front and rear lockers. When you hit those buttons, that means all 4 tires are going to spin at the same time, whether traction control likes it or not. So when it comes to on-road performance, and you're wanting to know if this Colorado can get up to speed when it goes to getting on the highway and that kind of stuff, it does a pretty good job at that. 0 to 60 is roughly 7 seconds, probably closer to 7.3. And then when it comes to a tow rating, if you're looking to tow your boat or whatever gear or dirt bikes, about 7,700 pounds is what you're looking at for tow capacity. And then when we're looking at the miles per gallon that you get with this, don't expect much, but across the board, GM has it rated all the same, which is kind of funny. So it's 17 miles per gallon, period. That's whether you're on the city or on the highway. It's just 17 miles per gallon. We could probably do a little bit better if you're gonna be gentle with it, but let's be honest, it's a ZR2. You're not gonna be gentle with this truck. So when it comes to the price tag of the ZR2s, when they're brand new, we're actually driving a used unit right now because it's a 2024, but brand new, you're looking at about $51,300 for a ZR2 starting price, and then you can option that out and get well into the 60s. And that's kind of crazy to think about because the base model WT package Colorado is almost half the price of a well-optioned ZR2. And then since we are driving a used ZR2, another thing to touch on is the fact that the resale values on these trucks are really strong. I'm not talking about regular Colorados, only the ZR2, and that's because it has all the off-road goodies that come with it. When it comes to the new generation Colorado ZR2, there's only a couple of things that I don't really like about it. One of which, the shocks are super cool, and they do offer great performance, but longevity-wise, they're definitely not there, and that's just talking from experience with the prior gen Colorado ZR2s. The Multimatic shocks, like I said, awesome off-road, great on-road manners, but when it comes to longevity, you're probably looking at about like 60, 80,000 miles of life out of them, and then it comes time to replacing them, and that is a bit of a costly expenditure. It could run you anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 depending on what dealership you're working with. The other thing that I don't really like about this new generation Colorado is some of the basic features that you would expect a button or a turn dial for are now integrated into the infotainment system. One of those features is turning on the headlights. I never thought that that would have to be a thing. I would have to go 3 menus deep into the infotainment system just to figure out how to turn on the headlights. Same thing goes for traction control. The actual traction control, as far as turning that all off, you have to go a couple menus deep into this infotainment system just to find it and figure it out. It's just something you got to learn when you actually get one of these, if you get one of these. There's just certain things that you expect to have a hard button for that you can get to quickly. Overall though, the interior of the new Colorado and the ZR2 package, like, this is a super nice interior. Like, the infotainment screen is cool, the gauge cluster is really well laid out, just the general layout and design of the dash, it's a really cool place to be. I'm not a huge fan of the seating position. It's kind of similar to the Tacomas where you're kind of sitting more on the floor and you're trying to just get your legs. If you have long legs, it's not really that great of a seating position. The whole redesign of the exterior of the Colorado, I really do like it a lot. It's a lot more angular, more aggressive looking. And again, they kept all the true ZR2 features with it, with the notched out bumpers, and then they actually gave a little bit of an angle to the rear bumper for a better departure angle. So even with the 17 miles per gallon, that's a little bit shocking seeing as how this has an 8-speed transmission. That's standard. Would have thought that number would have been slightly better, but then again, you do have a lower gear ratio in the 410s, and it's probably, I guess you would expect that. When it comes to mid-size pickup trucks, it's really interesting to think about that all of the manufacturers have this little like competition going on to see who can build the best mid-size pickup. And it's kind of one of the quietest battles I've seen in the auto industry, because you have the Tacoma TRD Pro, you've got the Ranger Raptor, you've got the ZR2 Colorado, and you've got the Gladiator Rubicon. And all of these vehicles are extremely capable off-road, and I just love that there's continuing to innovate and push the limits of what mid-size trucks can do off-road. Want to give a shout out to Akins Ford and their used sales team for supplying me with this Colorado ZR2. very grateful that they're allowing me to drive their vehicles. If you guys are ever in the market for a used vehicle, make sure you hit up Akins Ford. I'm sure they have access to whatever vehicle you're trying to get your hands on. Hope you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you want to see more reviews in the future. We'll see you guys for the next one.